All right, let's suppose that we want to reduce the number of individuals who smoke or reduce smoking. So we could affect the demand curve and do things that are going to affect this demand curve. So there's 5 things we can do that cause the demand curve to shift. The price of related goods, income, taste and preferences, expectations, and the number of buyers. So let's go one by one to see what has been done in the past to affect the demand, because what we want really is, where we might be right now is here might be the price of cigarettes, and here is the quantity demanded. We want this quantity to be lower. So in a sense, what we want to do is, given that same price, we want our demand curve to shift in. So that's what we want to do. Now let's see what tools we have to be able to do that. Okay, so the first is the price of related goods. So if we can find complements, we want to raise the price of complements. Okay, so what's a complement to smoking? Well, you might think lighters or matches. Let's make lighters and matches more expensive, and that would cause the demand for cigarettes to smoke, or the demand for cigarettes to decrease. But are they really that closely related? And are there a lot of other substitutes to light things on fire? There may be. And so that's a policy we haven't really focused on with smoking, is related goods. Can we find substitutes and make substitutes cheaper? Well, what's a good substitute for smoking? You might think of Nicorette gum. And if we want to reduce smoking, we might want to then try to lower the price of a substitute, but that's not really a policy we've gone with as a society. Second is income. As people's incomes increase, do they smoke more or less? Well, some goods might be independent of smoking, or it might be independent of income. So individuals across all income levels don't smoke at the same rate. So that may not be a good policy lever. The third is taste and preferences. This is one that's been done a lot. You've seen the commercial possibly of that person talking through their throat and then smoking through their throat because they can't stop smoking. You've seen those black lung pictures. That's trying to change your taste and preferences. So in as much as those policies are effective, that might decrease the demand for smoking because it changes individuals' tastes and preferences to smoke. And that would have that effect. Another thing that could do that, you might think, is expectations. If you smoke, you will get black lung, or you will get lung cancer, and you will die. Well, that changes individuals' expectations, and that would then have a shift left in the demand. Another one that has definitely been done is number of buyers. So can 15-year-olds buy cigarettes in the United States? Not legally. And the price of smoking to buy cigarettes is 18. By doing that, they're trying hard to reduce the number of buyers that can purchase the product. So that would then also decrease the quantity demand to get us right about here. All 3 of these latter ones have been implemented to try to reduce the number of smokers. Well, here's another policy, and that is, don't shift the demand curve at all. We don't really care where the demand curve is. We just want the quantity demanded lower. So one policy we've seen is that we simply move along the demand curve by raising the price. And if you can raise the price of cigarettes, then we have a new quantity demand, which will be less, and we'll achieve our goal. And so that's not one of these 5 things, because notice when we change the price, the demand curve doesn't move at all. Changing the price moves us along the demand curve. And so how do we change the price? Well, keeping that same demand curve, we tax cigarettes. Cigarettes have an incredibly high tax rate on them. And the goal of that is to increase the price to move along the demand curve until we get at a lower quantity demand. So when we think about different policies and as government, what we can do to affect quantity demanded, these 5 things here affect the demand curve, and sometimes those are the best things to use. Other times, simply changing the price is a way to move along the demand curve to achieve the same outcome.